It's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, February 25th. So we had the moon in Capricorn go void, of course, at 10:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last evening. And so we're entering into the day with the moon still in that Capricorn energy, but we've been void for a couple of hours. Now, we only get 40 minutes into the day before we lock into Aquarius energy. And of course, the shift from Capricorn energy to Aquarius is always welcomed because the Capricorn energy being an earth sign, we're very aware of our physical body, of our physical circumstances, of our to-do list, of our blockages, of our restrictions, of our limitations. Yes, we were thinking very down to earth and long term about the plans that we eventually want to take action upon, but we're not there yet. Now, the shift into Aquarius energy always helps us out because, first of all, we get out of that heaviness, that weight in the physical form. That air energy pushes us all the way up into the headspace. We have the Aquarius energy acting as the observer. So again, we're kind of operating from the highest realm of our intellect. We can kind of detach from the situation, see the greater, grander picture, if you will. And the best part about Aquarius energy is that we start thinking outside of the box on how we're going to solve some of the problems that, of course, were very much in our face while the moon was in Capricorn energy. We also love the moon in Aquarius at this particular juncture because we're in Pisces season. And when you mix a little bit of electricity with some water in the safest way that you could possibly do, what you get is major inspiration, major creativity coming in from the higher realms of intelligence that, again, we get a vision of through our intuitive insight that, again, we can bring into our awareness and start making some plans on how we're going to bring it to life. We have 10 different aspects taking place here today. 8 of them are going to involve the moon. So the moon in Aquarius energy conjuncts, bumps into, teams up with Pluto, also in Aquarius energy, right out of the gate. And so what we get here is just as much of an ending as it is a beginning. A conjunction is kind of wrapping particular topics and themes up before we jump into new ones. Now, emotionally speaking, Pluto is pushing us into empowerment, into seeing that greater, grander picture, seeing where adjustments and improvements can be made in the present moment to help us align with the goal, the vision, the dream that, again, we are very excited to pursue. And so the ending of this is powerlessness. And of course, the ending, the closure, is putting a lot of the darker topics, the darker themes, the darker ideas, the darker emotions behind us now. And we're using that as a catalyst, if you will, as a new fuel to kind of light up a new fire, spark, and flame within us so that we can be futuristically focused and start kind of working backwards, understanding where it is that we want to end up, understanding where it is that we're currently at, the gap that kind of is the distance that we need to kind of grow through and go through in order to get from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be, and start making those changes first within our thoughts, within our emotions, and then secondary to that in our external realm. So this is a powerful energy. It is kind of encouraging us to kind of boss up, get out of our own damn way, get out of our headspace, really, again, have some powerful insights, some powerful ideas, if you will, on how it is that we're going to solve some of these problems, how we're going to make some progress, how we're going to move on. So interestingly enough, we have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of the information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves in this Pisces energy, of course, coming up to, bumping into, teaming up with, conjuncting Saturn, the Lord of Karma, also in this Pisces energy. So, of course, when we have Mr. Mercury and Mr. Saturn coming together, there's going to be a very serious tone that takes over our thoughts, our inner dialogue, our inner narrative, and if we're in conversation, there's going to be a seriousness, a somberness to not only our tone, but to some of the particular matters that we need to talk about. And so again, when Mr. Saturn is concerned, we kind of receive a little bit of a reality check. We have to come back down to earth, so to speak. We have to figure out what needs to be done and how to do it. And so again, responsibilities are weighing very heavily on us right now. accountability weighing very heavily on us right now. We're thinking about the commitments, the obligations that we've made to other people. We're kind of concerned about that. We are creating more anxieties than there needs to be at this particular issue. But at the same time, there are problems that we have been kind of pushing off to the side, that we've been trying to sweep under a rug, that we now need to acknowledge. We now need to talk about it. We are in Pisces season. This is shadow work. We have to confront the ugliness, the challenges, the obstacles, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities. We have to do what we need to do in order to allow that to actually build into a fuel to continue to inspire and motivate us to stay hell-bent, damn and determined to see something through. All this Pisces energy is encouraging us to wrap things up. So we cannot run, we cannot hide, we cannot continue to avoid the topics, the themes that are very uncomfortable, that are problematic. We have to deal with it now. And so, where Mercury is concerned, ruling over our mental plane, our thoughts, our ideas, our focus, there's definitely going to be a hard time concentrating. We are in Pisces energy. There are no boundaries in Pisces energy. We're just free flowing. But at the same time, there's an organization that Mr. Saturn brings to the table where we have to focus. We have to concentrate. We have to talk about these things. We have to talk about the solutions. And so whether you're doing this within yourself or with other people, it really doesn't matter. There's a serious and somber tone taking over, not only our head space, not only our heart space, but over what needs to be talked about. Again, if you need to withdraw from interactions and sit in your own power and sit in your own solitude in order to get your own shit right before you go ahead and start interacting with other people, probably the best call to make, because otherwise things can get pretty messy. Things can get very blurry. And of course, we can just be running around in circles, creating more harm than doing good. So we want to make sure that we're cautiously aware of this particular background energy here today. We do have Mercury then making a positive interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries energy. And this is definitely going to help us to buck up, to boss up, to do what we got to do, especially feeding off of that seriousness, that somberness, that trigger and activation of where it is that we've been avoiding certain people, places, and things, topics and themes. All of that comes into our awareness, and then we have to do something about it. So Chiron, of course, he is the wounded healer. He's being aspected in a positive way, which means that we're in the mood to heal. We're in the mood to kind of, reconcile things. We're in the mood to compromise. We're in the mood to grow. And so again, with Mercury and Chiron working together, not only do we see our own strengths, our own abilities to kind of open up, be real, raw, and vulnerable, to do all the hard things, to kind of put them behind us and in the past where they need to stay, but we are open conversing about our vulnerabilities. We are openly talking about the things that we've been running from, all in efforts to want to grow and heal and kind of evolve. And so that is a strength. That is kind of us flipping the switch, if you will. Instead of trying to bury those thoughts, those emotions, those topics, those themes, we are willing to unearth them, put them out all on the table, and do something about it. We then have the moon in Aquarius energy going to semi-square. First Saturn, then Mercury, both of them in Pisces energy. So first of all, semi-square, it's highlighting a little bit of tension and conflict where we're having a little bit of a hard time going through some growing pains, if you will. And of course, the moon, first of all, interaction with Mr. Saturn, there's always a little bit of a reality check. There's always a little bit of a harshness. There's always a little bit of a Debbie Downer type of mood, type of attitude. Here's the deal. The moon in Aquarius is very futuristically focused. And because we are kind of allowed to be emotionally detached, act as the observer, we're kind of seeing the greater, grander picture. We're seeing things very different compared to the lens that Mr. Saturn is sitting in, which, by the way, he's sitting in this Pisces energy. He's looking to wrap up not only a 2-year cycle, but a 30-year cycle. And then again, we spiral out of that into larger cycles. But he's very focused on the endings, the closures, the finalities needed before shifting our attention to the future. And so this little bit of tension, this conflict, is that we need to get organized to kind of wrap things up before we need to get organized to start building towards something new. So there is an emotional disconnect there, and the heaviness, the weight that Saturn brings is not really, I'm going to say, being being appreciated by the Aquarius energy because we want light and fluffy. We don't want to be heavy. We don't want to be weighted. We don't want to be tied down, held back, and restricted. We're trying to come up with solutions on how to break free from all of those things. And so the moon in Aquarius, semi-squaring Mercury shortly thereafter, same kind of deal. We have our heart space, the moon, trying to emotionally detach in order to kind of see the inner workings, if you will, of not only what's going on inside of us, but inside of the problematic situations that we're currently trying to break out of. We have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, kind of free falling and free floating in this Pisces energy. We're looking to, again, wrap things up in the Pisces energy, which is a hard learning curve for the Aquarius energy that just wants to figure out how to get out of this situation so that we can get into a better situation. There is a lot of insight coming in that we're just not able to make sense of. And there is a disconnect between our heart and our head. The moon in Aquarius then goes ahead and semi-sextiles, which is a beautiful interaction with the sun in Pisces. So this is going to help lighten the mood a little bit, lighten the vibe. We always know there's going to be an epiphany between the sun and the moon, an aha moment, a realization, a download of what we want, what we need, what we desire, and what we need to do to get it. So again, we have this, I'm going to call it highly charged inspiration or vision for the future. That's where, emotionally speaking, we're projecting ourselves into the future in the Aquarius energy. But the sun is shining a very bright light in the Piscean energy. What needs to be wrapped up? What has to be kind of ended? Where is it that there is the higher self coming into play, where we're receiving intuitive downloads, goals, visions, dreams of the future? And again, realizing what needs to be done in order to free us up to actually pursue said wants, needs, and desires. So there is going to be an alignment here between realizing what it is that's going on within us, what it is that we need to address in our outer realm in order to wrap up certain cycles here so that we can start building towards something new. The moon is then going to make a positive interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer. So we are open-minded, we are open-hearted, we're willing to kind of be real, raw, and vulnerable and kind of build ourselves up and encourage ourselves to do the hard things. Again, the interaction between the moon, emotionally speaking, and Chiron, the wounds that we're trying to heal, we are tapping into a warrior type of mood and attitude and spirit to kind of hurry up and wrap up some of these pains and traumas that, again, are keeping us attached and stuck in situations and circumstances that we no longer desire to be in, that we're no longer resonating with. And so this is all, I'm going to say, a positive shift in our inner realm and likely going to be projected in our outer realm for us to actively start taking actions and making moves towards switching things up, doing things in a different way to, again, kind of delete the cycle, the loop that we've been stuck in, and to, again, start wrapping things up so that we can grow and heal and evolve as we strengthen the boundaries within ourselves, as we strengthen this new passion, this new desire that we have to move on and move forward. We then have the moon in Aquarius sextiling, which is a beautiful interaction, with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, in this Aries energy. She is only going to be direct for a couple more days. March 1st, she is going to be retrograding. So there's a jitteriness going on, especially in our heart space. We're having a lot of heart activations here this week. If you haven't listened to the Ascension forecast for this week, you should definitely take a listen. There's a lot of energies coming at us here this week. Heart activations are definitely on the list. The closer that we get to March 1st, we are definitely going to feel an intensity take over because our heart space is changing. The way that we feel about ourselves is changing. The way that we feel about our worth, our values, changing. Our priorities, our happiness, our joy, who and what makes us happy and who and what does not. All of this is changing. And so again, we have a beautiful interaction between the moon and Venus kind of getting into that heart space, really getting real and raw and vulnerable with where it is that we have wants, needs, and desires to start something new, to jump into something new, to really blaze a brand new path moving forward, to create a realm and reality in our physical realm that not only looks good, but that feels good and provides us with the happiness, the joy, the safety, security, the stability that we're 100% craving. Now, the issue here is that when you realize that you want all of those things and you come back in the present moment and realize that you don't really have a whole lot of those things right now, what happens is you start focusing on how to get those things. And a lot of the answers to that is to wrap up certain cycles, wrap up certain soul contracts. And of course, when Venus goes retrograde, relationship dynamics, financial situations, and overall happiness and joy will be restructured. All for the best, but it may not look like that at the beginning of this particular process. And so right now, realizing what we want, realizing what we're passionate about, realizing where it is that a great change is about to take place is where we have to double down on the energy to reassure ourselves that when, shit starts hitting the fan here, we're put in positions that we don't want to be in, but we know that we have to push through them in order to clear the space for us to actually pursue what we currently want, need, and desire. That is going to be the fuel that gets us through it. So major heart activations and revelations in what it is that we want, what we need, what we desire, and what we have to do to actually get it. The moon in Aquarius then trines, which is a beautiful interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings. He's in Gemini energy. This gives us air on air action. We love air on air action because we're all up in the headspace. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about the past. We're bringing it together in the present moment. We're connecting the dots. We're kind of challenging the lens, the perspective that we're looking at life through. We are looking to improve upon some thoughts, some ideas, some inner dialogue, some inner narratives. There's a lot going on in that headspace. Even more than that, there's a lot going on in the energy that we're building in our heart space. And so Jupiter, he brings the hype, he brings the optimism, he brings the confidence. Sometimes he brings so much of it that we end up kind of over exaggerating the energy, the efforts that we actually have to pursue all of the new things. Nonetheless, we're in a beautiful situation right now where we're feeling like we're plucking out the silver linings of some of the situations that have been tossed our way. We are feeling like we are going through a little bit of a growth spurt here where we're about to make major moves and therefore expand upon certain topics and themes and areas in our life. And overall, there's just a lot of buzz going on in the headspace that has us seeing things from a more positive perspective, from a better mood, from a better attitude, from a better, let's call it altitude as well, because again, we're acting as the observer, kind of detaching from the physical form to really analyze where it is that improvements and adjustments can be made now to help set us up for this long-term quest, this long-term adventure to grow, to evolve, to heal, to expand upon, again, some topics, some themes, some ideas that have been getting us very excited and very much looking forward to something, which is a beautiful thing. Now, the last thing that we got going on here today is the moon in this Aquarius energy semi-squaring, which is a little bit of tension with the North Node in Pisces. So the way that I kind of feel about the last little couple of aspects that we had was that there was a building up of energies. And anytime that there's a building up of energies in a positive way where we're feeling confident, we're feeling like we can do whatever we need to do in order to create the realm and reality of our dreams, just when that happens, there is this dark pull that kind of, activates our ego programming to then start speaking fear into some of the dreams that we just realized that we had and that we absolutely want to manifest. And this would be one of those particular options. We have the moon kind of in this headspace, in this observer mode, trying to kind of, problem solve. And the North Node in Pisces is trying to get us on the right path, trying to get us in alignment with the next goal, the next chapter, the next mission. The whole point of the North Node in Pisces is for us to trust, for us to surrender, for us to trust our gut, the universe, to understand that there's a greater, grander plan, to be open to the discomfort that we all need to feel in order to grow, to heal, to evolve. The issue is that we just got a little bit of a download. We just got hyped up. We just realized what it is that we want to do. And then the reality check of all the things on our to-do list that requires the hard parts in life, the endings, the closures with people, places, and things that you've grown, that you're no longer attached to. Now we're putting that into perspective. And so there's this element where we realize that we're super excited for all the possibilities to come, but now we're kind of hit with the weight of the world of of the things that we need to do in order to actually pursue that excitement, to pursue that goal, vision, and dream. So we're not really seeing the forest past the trees at this particular juncture. And we tend to get overwhelmed, to get hypersensitive about things, so much to the point that we don't even want to think about the future. We don't even want to think about the present. We don't want to think about the past. We just want to curl up and kind of ride this particular wave.